So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 18. Kunti uvacha Namasye purusham twadayam Ishvaram prakriti param Alakshayam sarva bhutanam Antar bahir avasthitam. Can we repeat? Namaste purusham twadayam Ishvaram prakriti param Alakshayam sarva bhutanam
Namaste purusham twadayam Ishvaram prakriti param Alakshayam sarva bhutanam Antar bahir avasthitam. Kunti uvacha Namaste purusham twadayam Ishvaram prakriti param Alakshayam sarva bhutanam Antar bahir avasthitam.
Meaning, Kunti uvacha, Srimati Kunti said, Namaste, let me bow down. Let me bow down. Purusham, the Supreme Person. Tva, you. Adayam, the original. Ishvaram, the controller. Prakritihe, of the material cosmos. Param, beyond. Alakshayam, the invisible. Sarva, all. Bhutanam, of living beings. Antaha, within. Bahi, without. Avasthitam, existing. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Srimati Kunti said, O Krishna, I offer my obeisances unto you because you are the original personality and are unaffected by the qualities of material world. You are existing both within and without everything, and yet you are invisible to all. Okay, fine. I'll just start the lecture and I'll include the points of the purport in my lecture, because I want to discuss actually 3 verses here today. We want to finish this Kunti Maharani prayers in this week, and first 3 verses of this Kunti Maharani prayers, they are in continuation, and the next 4 or 5 verses, they are another section now. So let me start now. Om Adhyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalaka Chakshurunilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Kunti uvacha, that's the first word here. And this is quite surprising that the first prayers of Bhagavatam is by a woman. That's interesting. Kunti. And Bhagavatam is establishing the fact that devotion is not restricted to caste, creed, males or females. It's open to everyone, and even women and females, they can become pure devotees of Lord as Kunti. Kunti is given a special position. Even Bhishma, he is not the first person who is offering prayers here. After this, Bhishma's prayers comes. And Bhishma is a Mahajana. He's a teacher. But nevertheless, first is Kunti, and Prabhupada says that Prabhupada says in the purport, Kunti was quite aware that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Although he was playing part of a nephew. In the purport he says. So Kunti is special, definitely. And she is dear to Krishna. It's absolutely there. One more, there are prayers of Devahuti also in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Devahuti, she is offering prayers, and interestingly, Kapil Muni gives his instructions to Devahuti. Kapil Muni had so many disciples, but the first disciple was Devahuti. And so Bhagavatam is showing that yes, there are many female devotees, perfect devotees. Those who are sincere, they can attain Krishna. Prabhupada will tell in the next verse. Sincerity of purpose, that Krishna sees. Like in Ram Leela, Ram was giving same mercy to Hanuman and that squirrel who was lifting that stone, small stones. And Hanuman was surprised how the squirrel is getting the same mercy. Ram told, it's a sincerity of purpose, the attitude of the devotee. So what Kunti is saying? Namaste Purusham to Adayam. Now Kunti, in this whole prayers, she is doing two things. First, she is offering prayers to Krishna, and second, she is teaching us how to offer prayers. That's what Kunti is doing here. If you read all these verses, prayers by Kunti, I'll show you slowly when we proceed. She's showing us how to pray to Krishna. And Prabhupada says the system to pray to Krishna is first you glorify Him and then you pray to Him. That's what Prabhupada says. Like in Chaitanya Shikshashtakam. So first Mahaprabhu glorifies Cheto Darpanam Arjanam, holy name. And then he comes to his prayers. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundaram. So that's the system. Kunti is doing the same thing. She's praying to Krishna. She's first glorifying in this verse. And then she will start praying to Him. And her intention here is to ask Him to stop. Going from Hastinapur to Dwarka. He's proceeding from Hastinapur to Dwarka. This is the scene there. Krishna is standing and Uddhav is there and on the chariot, and Kunti proceeds. There's so many people there standing beside. Kunti comes, she offers prayers to Krishna. And what she says? She says, Namaste Purusham to Adayam. Now this word, she starts with Namaste. Now Namaste means, technically it means let me bow down, Prabhupada translates. But Namaste, if you break this word, it means Na plus Ma plus Asti. Like we say Namaste. So Na plus Ma plus Asti. Na means not. Ma means I. And Asti means to be. So Namaste means I am not. That means devotee says to Krishna, Krishna, I will not fulfill my will. I am nothing in front of you. I will fulfill your will. That's the meaning of Namaste. Nama, not me. It is you who is important. I am not important. You are important. And that's Kunti saying, Namaste. Kunti is saying, Krishna, okay fine, you want to go? I understand. Nobody can stop you. I am nothing. I am not important. Your desires are important. My desires are not important. If you want to go, proceed to Dwarka. But it is my request if you can stop for a few days. That's the idea. That's why she is offering Namaste. By love, a devotee can fulfill his desires, although he is offering Namaste to Krishna. So Kunti says, Namaste Purusham tu Adayam. Now Kunti is glorifying Krishna. Now one thing to keep in mind is, this verse is summarizing all philosophy of whole Bhagavatam in one verse. And that's very interesting if you read it. Achinte Vedha Tattva. And who is Krishna? How he is great? How should we surrender to him? What is the aim of life? Everything she is describing. Now this shows that Kunti is scholarly. Kunti, although she is a female, but she knows philosophy. And this means that in previous days, females were allowed to read Vedic scriptures and understand them. And if you read Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Upanishads, there were so many female rishis, like Gargi is there, Javali is there, so many rishis. There's a big list, you can keep on reading. So this means that Kunti is well versed in philosophy. Otherwise you cannot speak of words like that. He's everywhere, he's outside, inside. How can an ordinary person know? So Kunti starts her prayers with a philosophical understanding of devotional service, and Krishna likes that. Krishna likes when emotions are intertwined with philosophy and then offered to him. He likes that, rather than plain emotions offering to him. And Kunti is showing this is what prayer. If we want to pray to Krishna, we have to be philosophically sound, and then pray to him interlaced with emotions. So Kunti says, Namaste Purusham. Now I'll show you how this verse is summarizing all philosophy. Now she says Purusham. To Adayam. She says, Krishna, you are Purusham. Purusham means the supreme, the enjoyer. But to Adayam, you are the original Purusham, original enjoyer. And Prabhupada mentions in the purports that there are so many Ishwaras. So what is the meaning of this word Ishwara? Ishwara means controller, but it depends who is saying this word. You see, suppose if I tell you this word, if I tell you I love you, what does this statement mean? This statement mean, what's the meaning of this statement, I love you? Can anybody tell? What's the meaning?
You care for us?
Yeah. So actually this statement has no meaning, because you have to ask me to whom I am speaking. You need a context. If I tell I love you all, this means love means care. If I tell a girl I love you, that love is different. It's not just care, it is something more. If I tell a child I love you, that is a different thing. If I tell a spiritual master or higher authorities I love you, that love shows respect. So there's a different types of love, no? If I tell to an animal I love you, a dog, that's a different kind of love. So love has different shades according to the context. So that is why when Kunti says Ishwara, we have to understand what she means. She's a devotee. When a jnani says the word Ishwara, the meaning is different. When a devotee says Ishwara, the meaning is different. Now when a jnani is saying Ishwara, he means by Ishwara you are controller. You're controller of entire cosmos, living beings, demigods. But when devotee says Ishwara, that means you don't control by your power, but you control by love. That is a devotee. So just like when I say I love you, love can mean respect, love can mean care, love can mean lust. Who is speaking to whom? So there are two meanings of Ishwara. One is controlled by power, and one is controlled by love. And Kunti is mentioning to Krishna, Krishna, you are Ishwara. You are controlled by love. And you see here, why she is saying this? There is a reason for that. Krishna, you are controlled by love. You are powerful. You want to go now. But because we devotees love you, please stay here with us. Kunti cannot digest this fact that Krishna is leaving them. And she says, Purusham tu Adem. You are the original controller, original enjoyer. And that's why she adds this. Ishwaram Purusham tu Adem. Adem can also mean original. Adem also means there are various types of Krishna, by the way. That Prabhupada says. Vrindavan Krishna is not same as Dwarka Krishna. They are two different persons. And Mathura Krishna is not same as Dwarka Krishna. They are actually three different personalities, Krishna. And that might be bewildering to us, but it's like that. Just like Vishnu and Krishna are different, although Vishnu is expansion. Similarly, Krishna of Vrindavan, Krishna of Mathura, and Krishna of Dwarka. They are three different people. And Kunti is praying to Krishna of Vrindavan, Brajenandan Krishna. That's why Kunti says, Tu Adayam. You are the original Purusha. You are Brajenandan Krishna. And I'm offering my prayers to you. And the uniqueness of Vraj Krishna, different from Mathura Krishna and Dwarka Krishna, they are different personalities, their mood is different. So in Vrindavan, in Dwarka, Krishna is more of a grave person. He's like serious, little serious. He's like a king. In Mathura, he's not that serious. In Vrindavan, he's naughty. That's what he is. In Vrindavan, Krishna, he likes to be bewildered. And he likes to bewilder others. And whole Kunti Maharani prayers, this is just based on one fact, that Kunti says, I'm bewildered by seeing your various incarnations of your pastimes of Damodar. No, she says, no, Tvam atyanta vidimbanam. That verse will come. I'm really bewildered by seeing you. So many bewildering things you are doing. Antar bahirabasthitam. You are inside, you are outside. Antar means inside, bahir means outside. And Kunti says, I'm bewildered by this fact. How should I understand this? Yet Krishna is there standing in front of her. That is Kunti Maharani. So this is a big philosophy, Who can understand this? That what's that verse from Bhagavad Gita? Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyaktam murtina matsthani sarva bhutani na me teshu avasthita na cha matsthani bhutani pashyame yogam aishwaram. I am there and I am not there. So that's why Kunti says, Tu Adem. She's praying to Krishna of Vrindavan. And when Yashoda was tying Krishna in Vrindavan, Kunti was there. And she's remembering that pastime. And that will come in Kunti Maharani prayers. That's what the focus of this prayer is. And that is why she adds this verse, Tu Adayam. You are Brajenandan Krishna. You are very difficult to understand. You are Rasik Shekhar. Difference between Mathura Krishna and Vrindavan Krishna is, Vrindavan Krishna is called Rasik Shekhar. He wants to enjoy different tastes. And that is why he makes so many pastimes, and he actually charms his devotees. That is why one of the name of Vrindavan Krishna is Dhira Lalit. Prabhupada says, Nectar of Devotion, Dhira Lalit. Dhir means he is grave. Lalit means he is humorous. And Krishna is both. He is having gravity at the same time mixed with humor. We cannot do this. No human can do this. He cannot be grave at the same time humorous. Sometimes you can be grave and sometimes you can be humorous. And Krishna is both at the same time. Ram could not also do that. Ram was Dhira Prashant. Ram was grave. He was following Maryada. He was peaceful, calm. But humor, Ram was not there. He was not so naughty. Nobody would expect Ram to do some naughty activities. No, he's a Maryada Purushottam. That's Ram. But Krishna is all in one. Everything in one. Simultaneously different. That's Krishna. So we are dealing with a personality who is very charming, who doesn't like to become bored of. That's what Krishna is. And that's why devotees of Krishna, especially Brajenandan Krishna, they have to be very intelligent and very, they have to know how to charm him. He gets bored of very easily. This Krishna. Mathura Krishna, if you please, if you go, no problem. You can simply, you go to Mathura, you go to Dwarka, you go there and they worship Krishna with all pomp and show. Nobody offers much prayers and there are gongs and bells. But here it's not like that. Here Kunti is offering so nice prayers, and these prayers are very important for us to understand, because Kunti is not praying straightforward. Kunti, I'll show you how Kunti is developing her prayers one by one. And Kunti is bringing a contradiction. She starts with Krishna, your Supreme Person, and then she goes on in her prayers, Krishna, you're a child who was fearing Yashoda. So she's developing contradiction. She's starting with Aishwarya Bhav and she's proceeding to Madhurya Bhav. Now that's a very interesting way to pray. Generally devotees pray to Krishna. If they pray Krishna, you are supreme, they pray Krishna is supreme. You are all powerful, you are supreme, you are controller of the universe, you are omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. That's what Vedic prayers goes on. Or generally when devotees pray, they pray to Krishna in Madhurya. Krishna, you are sweet, you are baby of Yashoda, Yashomati Nandan, Vajavaro Nagara, Gopijana Vallabha, etc. Kunti is mixing both. That is why these prayers are first prayers of Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is for Paramahamsas. Let us not forget this. It is not for ordinary devotees. Although it is accessible to us by Mahaprabhu's mercy. And when you mix two tastes, it becomes more tasty. No? So if suppose your friend is there, you meet your friend, very dear friend, and you meet after many years, and your friend becomes a prime minister, and then you meet him and you say, first time you're meeting, and your friend calls, hey, how are you? And you, in spite of addressing his name, when you used to call him, suppose you used to call him Peter or something, some nickname, but now he's a prime minister. Instead of calling him Peter, you say, Mr. Prime Minister, how are you? He'll be a little shocked, why my friend is saying like this. But then in the next line you say, oh, forget it, Mr. Prime Minister, you are my Peter. That gives more enjoyment, no? If you say, Peter, how you do? Okay, that's okay. So that's the idea. Valmiki Ramayana does like that. Hanuman, when he's offering prayers to Ram, he does like that. He starts with Aishwarya Bhav, goes to Madhurya Bhav. So Kunti is also teaching us how to mix rasas and then offer it to Krishna. Just like in dish, we mix sugar, salt and whatever, and then it becomes more tasty. So that contradiction she is bringing. So she is saying, first Aishwarya Bhav, Ishwaram Prakarte Param. Krishna, you are supreme. Prakriti means, Prabhupada translates Prakriti as, okay, this is Aishwarya Bhav, you are supreme, you are controlling cosmos. Alakshyam Sarva Bhutanam. You cannot be seen by anybody. Now, question comes, why? Why people cannot see him? In spite of he being, Kunti says, you are inside, you are outside. Bahir Narsimha, Hirdaya Narsimha. Yato yato yami tato Narsimha. He is up, he is down, he is front, he is back, he is inside, he is outside. But still we cannot see him. Question is why? And that Kunti Maharani explains in the next verse. So I'm going to the next verse, text 19. So she answers why you cannot see him. So you see, when you're offering prayers to Krishna, it's a dialogue. It's not a monologue. It's not that you can come and say something to Krishna and go back. It doesn't happen like that. If you do like this, then this means we think he's a stone. But he's listening to us. And we are absolutely convinced he's listening. So when a devotee offers prayers, he expects in his mind what Krishna will say to me when I tell like this. So there's a personal relationship. So when Kunti offers these prayers, Krishna, you are everywhere. Kunti is expecting. Krishna will ask Kunti, well, I am everywhere, then why everybody cannot see me? It's a natural question. You are saying I am everywhere, but why can't people see him? And she answers here. Without even his asking, she understands his mind. And that's the point of prayers. A devotee is offering prayers, he should understand the mind of person whom he is offering prayers. And that is Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada says in one of his lectures, when you can understand mind of Krishna, that's perfection of devotion. That's difficult to do, no? To understand mind of God. Prabhupada says in Nectar of Instruction, first class servant is who can understand what his master says without even he saying to you. That's first class person, a devotee. And he does that. He does that, even without his asking. So that is Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of Krishna. Krishna consciousness means that Krishna is conscious of you. And Krishna consciousness means that you are conscious that Krishna is conscious of you. That's the highest thing. That's the highest level. but that needs little relationship. So Kunti, in the next verse, she's answering what Krishna is thinking. This shows that Kunti absolutely understands what Krishna desires. Kunti can understand mind of God. And that is, we can praise Krishna's form, qualities, pastimes, but he expects us to understand his mind. Then that is love, no? If a husband doesn't understand the mind of the wife, and wife doesn't understand the mind of the husband, there's a divorce. They just leave each other. Come on, you don't understand me. Why should I live with you? So how to do that? How to understand? By reading these prayers. Again and again we can understand how Krishna thinks. That's another thing, importance of prayers. That is why we should read these prayers and meditate and try to see how Krishna thinks. So Krishna is thinking, okay, Kunti, you are saying I'm everywhere, but nevertheless nobody can see me. Why? Okay, tell me. So Kunti is answering in text 19. Maya ajavani kachanam agya adhokshajam avyayam na lakshay mooda drisha nato natte dharo yatha. Very nice verse and often misunderstood verse. Kunti says, I'll read in English. Being beyond the range of limited sense perception, you are eternally irreproachable factor, covered by the curtain of deluding energy. You are invisible to foolish observer, exactly as an actor dressed as a player is not recognized. So Kunti gives an example. Why people cannot understand you? Kunti says because people are foolish observer. Why? Because you are acting as an actor dressed as a player who is not recognized. Now the point is, Prabhupada mentions here in the purport, when the Lord himself appears as Ram, Narsimha, Vara and so many forms, he performs many wonderful acts which are humanly impossible. He performs humanly impossible activities from the days of his lying of mother, like Putna, and then Govardhan Hill, or just like he gives protection to Vrindavan. There's so many activities. But the point is, does Krishna wants to hide himself by playing as actor? Actually, no. You see, the point is Krishna is not hiding himself. We can't understand him. That's the point. But somebody might argue. See, the example is given. Krishna is acting as an actor, dressed as a player, who is not recognized. Nato natte dhara. But if you think properly, why an actor does acting? To hide himself or to make himself famous? Actually to make himself famous, no? So like some hero, he will act as a villain or some other actor, different pastimes. So why he is doing that? So that he becomes famous and people say, oh, he acted as a Batman, Superman or whatever, and he's a good actor. So Krishna does so many pastimes to make himself famous. He hides himself to make himself famous. That's the idea there. Just like an actor, he hides himself on the stage and acts so many roles so that he becomes famous. Why he will become famous when he hides himself? Because when he plays different roles and people who understand who is he, they will praise him more and more and more, because in different roles he can exhibit different qualities. He becomes more famous. That's the idea. But foolish people, they cannot see that Krishna is hiding himself to actually revealing himself. That's what he is doing. That's foolishness. And Krishna comes as Krishna, or Vrindavan boy, and they say, oh, he's like an ordinary person. He comes as Ram, people think he's a king. He comes as various avatar, Varaha, people think, oh, who is he? He's an animal. People think like that. Pashuram, people think he's a warrior. But devotees, for us, the more he hides himself, the more he becomes famous, because devotees then praise, oh yes, this is not an ordinary boy, this is God himself. And that's the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. For a non-devotee, Krishna accomplishes two things by one action. So Krishna does many pastimes, he hides himself, and for a non-devotee, he becomes more obscure. For a non-devotee, he becomes eternally irreproachable. It becomes more confusing. For a devotee, he becomes more interesting. The more he hides himself, no? So Rama Leela was interesting, but Krishna Leela is more interesting. Why? Because in Krishna Leela, Krishna is acting as fully ordinary person. In Ram Leela, still you can understand some godliness. In Krishna Leela, no godliness. Krishna is doing all things which are against social norms. He is doing politics. He is speaking lies. Is it? He's stealing clothes. He's doing immoral acts. Everything he breaks. He acts like a villain, in fact, in Krishna Leela. So people become more confused. But devotees become more enthused. That's the idea. So that's what Kunti says. Kunti says, Mooda Trisha, in the next verse. Kunti says, who cannot understand you? Who foolish? And how does Prabhupada define foolish as? Anybody tell, what's the meaning of foolish, according to Prabhupada? Just a quiz to make people enthused.
Grossly ignorant.
Grossly?
Ignorant.
There's one thing. You're okay, but maybe fine tune it.
Consider Krishna to be just a normal.
Okay, yeah, that's one thing. But Prabhupada defines foolish as particular, like from where the thought is coming. Right in Gita, first few verses, Prabhupada defines who is foolish. And I'll tell you, you will know. But Prabhupada defines as foolish, that person is foolish who considers himself as material body. Prabhupada says that. Avajananti mam muda. In that purport, Prabhupada says, people who don't know that they are spirit souls different from body, they are fools. They are fools who think they are this body. And these kind of people, they'll get confused because they think I am body, so Krishna is also like me. That's the point, no? He is also like normal body. They can't conceive by their own realization that he is different. But for devotee, it's not like that. Devotee knows I am different from my body. There is a concept of soul. So he can conceive in his mind that there can be a person purely made of spirit soul without body, because now he has realization within himself. You understand? He can see that there are two things and he is just spirit soul. But for foolish people, they cannot, because they don't have their own realization. They have theoretical understanding, but even not that. And then they cannot, if you try to convince them he's pure spirit soul, they say, come on, we can't experience, we can't understand that, so we don't expect. So that is why foolish is a person who doesn't have the knowledge of soul and body as different. And that is why spirituality, Prabhupada always emphasized, try to understand you're not this body. Now I used to think, when I used to hear his lectures previously, when I was new and reading Prabhupada books, I used to think, why Prabhupada is saying again and again, try to understand you're not body, your soul. Is there nothing else to speak? In fact, one devotee asked Prabhupada, is there nothing else to speak? You're not this body, your soul, you're again and again telling, and many devotees went to Gaudiya Math, in fact, because they were giving some kind of higher knowledge. In fact, I was reading, there was one Prabhupada disciple, Achyutanand Swami, you all know. So, he's not in now mainstream ISKCON, but he was one of the first disciples of Prabhupada. So he wrote a book, Blazing Sadhus. Are you aware of this book? You've read that? It's a beautiful book. That's a very humorous book and very interesting, because he was almost the first disciple of Prabhupada. And so Prabhupada went to India, and then he also went to India. And in that book, Achyutanand, he is speaking many pastimes. So yeah, okay. Anyway, I can just quote two pastimes, just a sideline to the lecture. And it's very interesting. So when he first went to India, in Vrindavan. Prabhupada had some health issues, so he went to India. So he went to India, and then first he landed in India. Then he saw one, Indians, they eat beetle. Beetle, everybody knows it? Beetle. So in India, what you do is you chew it, and then you have that red liquid, and then you throw it. In India, there's no dustbin. Whole India is a dustbin. So you just throw it. So he was just going on the station, and he saw one chewing, and he asked, what's the way? So that person, he was chewing beetle, and his mouth was full of that red liquid. So he threw it. And Achyutanand was like afraid. He was thinking, my God, I'll never go to a dentist in India. He was thinking, it's all blood. So that kind of, it's a very funny book. You should read, very humorous. He went to Prabhupada, and they ran out of the names of initiation. They used to give, Prabhupada's idea was to give a name in initiation which is actually according to your name. So according to, like, if it starts with B, then he gives with B, and then if it starts with I, then I. So they finished all I names, and they had to give I name. So they asked Prabhupada, can we give a name ISKCON Das? Prabhupada said, no. You're crazy. It's an institution name. So that was very interesting. So one devotee asked in India or in America somewhere, Prabhupada, see, this is India and you can speak various pastimes, Vrindavan, but nevertheless you are saying you're not this body or soul. Why you are saying like that again and again? There are so many things. And of course, Achyutanand Swami, he writes there, Achyutanand Swami at that time, he was a Prabhu, and Rishikesh, Harikesh Maharaj, they were there in Vrindavan, and they started going to Gaudiya Math, because that time there was no ISKCON. So Prabhupada asked them to stay with Narayan Maharaj, and so there was a Math of Keshav Pragya Maharaj there in Mathura, in Vrindavan, and then in Mathura, Sridhar Maharaj. So they were staying there. And Prabhupada's one more god brother, Bon Maharaj, was there. He still institute is there in front of ISKCON. So they were staying, and Bon Maharaj started instructing them about something esoteric pastimes of Radha Krishna, and they wrote back to Prabhupada, they're instructing us like this, so it is nice. And Prabhupada said, no. Prabhupada said, just forget all these things. Understand you are not this body or soul. Of course, it doesn't mean that we are not supposed to read pastimes of Krishna. It doesn't mean that. But the point is why he was emphasizing this. Because if you read commentaries of Acharyas, Prabhupada is doing exactly the same thing what Acharyas are doing. So Vallabhacharya, he comments that if you don't have personal realization that you're not this body or soul, you can never experience Krishna as spirit soul. That will be almost impossible, because you are not at that level. So, and that is why in scripture it is said, Atmavan mannate jagat. Who you are, you see others like that. So if we don't have a concept of purity, how can we understand purity? You see, we can't understand purity. Just like in America, if you try to explain the concept of marriage, it's very difficult. They don't have a concept of marriage. This culture doesn't have. So when we say Rukmani and Krishna is married, it might be very difficult for a new person to understand, they don't have this concept. So if you're not pure, you can't appreciate purity of Krishna. If you're not realized that you're spirit soul, you will never experience Krishna as spirit soul. We can never see Krishna in deity form as a person. He will not reveal us. That is why Prabhupada was saying, you realize. So realization of you're not this body or soul is realization of God. In other words. Because by that experience, then you can experience higher reality. If you know a drop of ocean, you can understand ocean. And that is why Kunti Maharani says, Moodha Drisha. People who are foolish, who don't have any experience, even a small experience of spirit soul, how can they experience Supreme Spirit? They can talk theoretically, but no experience. That's not possible. How can they understand the affairs of Radha and Krishna, who doesn't have any experience? What do you mean by relationship between at the level of spirit soul? It doesn't happen. That is why Kunti says Moda Drisha. People who are at bodily level, they'll become ever confused by Krishna's activities. And Krishna is very happy to confuse them. That's Krishna. Now you might say God is confusing. Well, if you want to be confused, Krishna will confuse you. Krishna will confuse you to such a limit that you will never be able to understand him. He can do like that. Because you want that. Okay? That's Krishna's nature. That is God. What you want, he will give you. Okay, if you want sense gratification, take it. Take it to the limit. And you yourself understand what is the problem in sense gratification. That's a very good thing. That is a good way to explain people. Just like children, they ask, Mama, I want chocolate. Mama says, no, your teeth will get spoiled. He'll just weep and then says, okay, take it. And then he eat and then his teeth go bad, and then mother will say, see, I told you. And then never he will take chocolate. So Prabhupada says that example, that fan. So I think Prabhupada's child, he wanted to put finger in that fan. And then Prabhupada says, okay, let him put. And mother was saying, no, Prabhupada says, let him put. And he, off the fan, when it was slow speed, he put it. And it got bang. And then next time Prabhupada used to tease his child, do you want to put the finger in the fan? And he says, no. Just like this Krishna. If you read Bible is full of all these incidences. So you might have read Bible, of course. But if you read Bible, if you read Old Testament, so Moses and his followers, Moses' followers, they said, see, we are in bewildering, we are just roaming in this desert. Your God is punishing. What is this, your God? We were happy back in Rome, and anyway, we were slaves, but we were getting food. So Moses prayed to God, and God said, okay, next day you will find food. You sleep and you'll be lying on the floor. They got up and they found food, and there was some milk sweet something everywhere. They took it. But then they were eating and they got bored of. They said, okay, your God is nonsense. We want meat. They said, we were getting meat at least in Rome. So Moses tell you are crazy. If God doesn't want to give you meat, why do you want? So they criticized Moses. And God said, no problem. I'll give you so much meat that you will die. You will eat and die, all of you. I'll fill your stomach till next by meat. And next day there were rains of chicken. The Old Testament, there were rains, chickens were falling from the sky. And they ate and died. Many of them died. So that's Krishna. Krishna is like that. What you want, he will give. To excess. Take it and see what you are asking me for yourself. I have told you, I warned you, but if you don't understand, then you see what you are asking. What is the problem in that? And that's why Krishna confuses non-devotees. Non-devotees want to get confused. We don't accept you. Krishna says, okay, I will do such pastimes that you will be convinced that I am not God. I will convince you I am not God. And that is why demons are convinced. Shishupal was convinced Krishna is not God. Shishupal, in spite of seeing, he was there. And he was so confused by seeing all these pastimes of Krishna with girls, and nevertheless he also knew about Govardhan pastime and everything, but they thought he's a yogi. But for devotees that's nice. So mood, that's mood. Na lakshay mood darshan nato nate nato dhara. So people who are foolish, illusion, actually she influences them. Maya javani kacham. Illusion catches them. Krishna says to Maya, okay fine, he's foolish, so bewilder him. That's your job. I'm not going to do personally, I'm busy in my pastimes. This job is for you. He gives a job to Maya. But then Kunti says, when Krishna asks, for example, Krishna asks, okay fine, foolish people cannot understand me, then who can understand me? Can you tell? And Kunti is answering in the next verse, text 20. And she says, Tatha parma hamsanam muninam amalatmanam bhakti yoga vidhanartham katham pashyama istriya. This verse is actually very, very important, very interesting, because Kunti is saying, who can understand you? Okay. Kunti says, Parmahams can understand you. Parmahams. Amal Atmanam. People who are perfect who are advanced transcendentalists, they can understand you. Paramahams means who can separate milk from water. Or, this is an example to say, who can separate illusion from Krishna. They are Paramahams. So, illusion is, Maya is behind Krishna. She's always there, standing behind. That's what Vyasadeva says. Mayam tadapashram, and they can separate exactly. That is Paramahams. So they can understand. Who have Atma Anatma Vivek. That's a concept. Who knows what is dead, what is life, what is matter, what is spirit, by their personal experience. But then Kunti says, people might be philosophers, people might be advanced yogis, they cannot understand you. The Paramahams, who have got your mercy, who can understand Krishna? Arjuna asks in Gita. Gita Arjuna says to Krishna, who can understand you? Only you can understand yourself. That's the idea. Who can understand Krishna? Only Krishna can understand Krishna. Then how can we understand him? So Upanishad says, only he can understand him whom he wants to make himself understood. So that's the idea. That is Paramahams. Krishna wants himself to make himself being understood by this person, and then he can understand, otherwise he can't. That is why one saint he said to God, God, only you can see yourself. How can any eyes, imperfect eyes, see you? So then the question comes, how can devotees see him? So the answer is, Krishna gives his eyes to his devotees. And then with that eyes you can see Krishna. And that's what Arjuna saw, universal form, no? So Krishna gave his eyes, Divya Chakshu. Okay, I am giving you my eyes, and then you can see me. And that eyes is called as Shastra Chakshu. The eyes of scriptures. By that we can see him. So, but Kunti brings a point. How then can a woman know you perfectly? Now Kunti is explaining who is Paramahams. Kunti is saying, so big people can understand, but how can I understand you? Now here Kunti gives a qualification to understand God. That is humbleness. In spite of Kunti being so much philosophical, you see previous two verses. Ordinary person cannot speak previous two verses. It's whole philosophy. And now she is saying, how can a woman know you perfectly? Now this is called as Jeev Abhiman. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, a pure devotee starts thinking he's an ordinary person. As a pure devotee, as we advance in devotion, we start thinking we're an ordinary person. We don't think we're an advanced devotee. And why this happens? Because as you go near God, we can understand there is infinite purity. And in comparison to that infinite purity, I am like a spark in front of sun. And then a devotee thinks I am an ordinary person. That's what. So Kunti is saying, how can an ordinary person like me understand you? Kunti is giving an evidence that she is fully qualified to understand Krishna. She is giving an evidence that she is a Paramahams. So she says Paramahams can understand you, but then she says, how can I understand? So she is actually pleasing Krishna. She is giving pleasure to Krishna. That is one aim of a prayer. Prayer should be offered in such a way that Krishna is pleased. We can also offer prayers in such a way when Krishna is not pleased. You can tell him something, Krishna, you're nice and this, but Krishna says, okay. So prayer should, Prabhupada says, Krishna should be satisfied in all respects. You should offer prayers to Krishna in such a way that he starts dancing. That's what what's that? You know Mantrale? Raghavendra Swami? Raghavendra Swami, he had deities of Ram. Still that deities are there in South India. And when Raghavendra Swami used to offer prayers, Ram used to dance. And those deities are in dancing posture actually. Ram, Sita, Lakshman, they used to dance. When Tukaram used to offer prayers, Vitthal, he used to dance. This is how a chanting and prayer should be, that Krishna is dancing. Of course, that's a long shot, but Kunti is saying that. So, when Krishna hears this, that Kunti says, Paramahams can understand you. And then Kunti says, how can I understand? Krishna becomes fully pleased. That Kunti, in spite of she being a Paramahamsa, she is claiming herself unqualified to understand him. And that melts the heart of Krishna. Krishna says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Haridas Thakur, Haridas Thakur, why you are chanting so many rounds? You don't need to chant, you are perfect. But Haridas Thakur said, no, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I can't finish. I'm so sorry, because of old age I can't finish my rounds. But nevertheless I'll try. And Mahaprabhu said, your statement is melting my heart. And that gives pleasure to Krishna. And this is how we can give pleasure to him. Just like Kunti is saying. And Prabhupada mentions here, and I'll finish here. Prabhupada says, Lord is so kind that He does not show special favor to anyone who is a great philosopher. He knows the sincerity of purpose. The simplicity of acceptance of Lord's authority is more effective than insincere religious fervor. And that's what Kunti is all about. Kunti is a symbol of simplicity. Kunti is a symbol of humbleness. Kunti is a symbol of full understanding of Krishna. Kunti is a symbol of offering prayers in such a way so that we can please Krishna. That is Kunti. And that is why her prayers are there first in Bhagavatam, so that we can understand who is Krishna and try to approach him in a proper way. Oh, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It's 9 o'clock. Huh? Till what time we had to continue? That's the time? That's the time? Okay, it's done. Okay, any questions? I'll stop here. So 3 verses are over. And tomorrow I will start next 4 verses where Kunti is showing how to please him. And Kunti will speak his names, qualities, form and past time. She's going to praise all 4. And she'll show us the process of realizing him and praising him. Name, form, qualities, past tense. That will come now. Tomorrow. So any questions, comments? And I'm done. It's 9 o'clock. Short time.
Thank you, Guru. On one hand, you were saying that everyone's service, every living entity's service is significant and important. You gave the example of
squirrel,
and the spider, right?
Squirrel, yeah.
The squirrel, the spider.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the other hand, we hear also about the parampara system and Vaishnava etiquette. So how can one principle be applied to the other? On one hand, it seems inclusive, and on the other hand, it's exclusive to some degree.
No, but how do you link Vaishnava etiquette to that point?
I just thought of that in my mind. It might not have any connection, but if you can show me it does or doesn't have a connection.
Okay, connection of Vaishnava etiquette with sincerity of purpose? That's your question?
How everybody's service is important and it seems like equal.
Okay. Oh, I understand your point. Okay, fine. In God's eyes, all services are equal. That's one thing that we understand, no? For Him, there is no superior, no inferior. But at the same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you look from a neutral point of view, Radha's service is much more superior to Dwarkavasi. That's one thing. So now there's a contradiction, no? On one hand we are saying there is a gradation. On the other hand we are saying Krishna considers everybody's service as equal. That's the point, no? So how do you handle this contradiction in your heart? And so it's a good contradiction, and if we can solve this, we can understand the concept of devotional life. So Krishna says, yes, all services are equal, but at the same time, there are gradations according to the manner how people offer that service. Now all are sincere. Radha is sincere, friends are sincere, squirrel is sincere, Hanuman is sincere. But their method of offering that service to Krishna, there is a difference. Now, suppose, so all of you are making this wicks. All are sincere, but how you offer to Krishna, that will define the gradations. So gopis might offer lamb to Krishna Yashodama also offers, friends also offer, but with a different mood they offer. All are sincere but different mood. So mood defines a gradation, not sincerity. As far as sincerity, all are equal. But as far as mood is there is a difference. And that is why there is a concept of rasa. Rasa, we understand Madhuri ras, Sakhe ras, Vatsalya ras. And then there is a concept of love. So love, it's okay, equal, but rasas then go higher, beyond that. So Krishna likes when gopis offer lamb, when Brahmaji offer lambs, Krishna likes more when gopis offer. So does it mean Brahma is not sincere? No, he's a pure devotee. Does it mean that gopis' lambs are not offered with more sincerity? No, absolutely same. But gopis' mood is different. They consider Krishna as their own, paramar or whatever. And that mood defines a gradation. And that is why you see in Vaikuntha, all are satisfied. That is why it's Vaikuntha. Hanuman doesn't want to become a gopi. He is Hanuman. He is happy because he is sincere. But his relationship with Krishna mood is different. Now who defines the mood? That's the idea. That Krishna defines, not we. So the gradation of devotional service is not a defect of that living entity. It is how Krishna wants to interact with him. You understand? So Krishna wants, okay, you act as a gopi, you act as a friend. So I'll give you this gift of gopi bhav. I'll give you this gift of squirrel. I'll give you this gift of Hanuman. So that difference proceeds from God, not from the person. As far as those living entities are concerned, all are at equal level, same level, no? You understand? So like in a class, for example, in a class, all are doing same homework. Now teacher says, okay, he'll be the monitor. Another will follow him. So, okay, as far as qualification was considered, everybody was nice and sincere, but anyway, teacher appointed him as a monitor. So the difference is brought by God and not by devotees. They are ready to serve him sincerely because Krishna wants to interact with them like that. That's all. He wants to interact. I don't know how to explain it further, but it's like that. Did you get what I was saying? That's the idea. So we can't blame that God is that, okay, fine, Krishna, everybody is sincere, but then why there is a difference? Krishna wants that. Krishna wants it like that. Krishna wants us to, like Uddhav. Uddhav wanted to become a grass in Vrindavan. We all know he prayed to Krishna, Krishna, make me a grass. So he said, Krishna, if you want this, I am ready to become grass. So Krishna made him the grass. So that is why there are two things, Tattva Vichar and Rasa Vichar. Let me put it like that. Tattva Vichar and Rasa Vichar. At the level of Tattva, philosophy, everybody is same. At the level of Rasa, there is a difference. Like this we can understand. Rasa Vichar, Tattva Vichar. And there is always a difference. That's all I can tell. Maybe I'll think of some other example after some time. That's all. Krishna is like that. Yeah.
Thanks, Prabhu. So you were speaking about the combination of the moods and how it gives taste, and at the same time we know there's rasa vas. So how?
Okay. Yeah, I understand the question. I understand the question. Yeah, so there's something called rasa bhas, and there's also something called rasa vaichitrya. So Prabhupada explains then. So you can combine some rasas and not combine some rasas. Some rasas goes together, some rasas do not go together. So just like, for example, that example is given. If there's a child Krishna and you go and offer prayers of Srimati Radharani and Krishna, then it's sort of rasa bhas. No, Vatsalya bhav and Gopi Bhav. Just like Balram is never, when Radha Krishna meet, Balram goes out. Because it creates a different atmosphere there, like his elder brother is there and Krishna is with Radha and he feels shy. So Balram says, okay, I'll go out. So that's Rasabhas. It's not compatible. For example, Chaitanya Charitamrita, I was reading yesterday. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was there in Puri, many Bengal devotees, they used to come to meet Mahaprabhu every year. So then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, all devotees came, but Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he said, I will not go inside. It will create a different atmosphere. His relationship to me and with them is different. So Rasabhas is adding salt and sugar. Like they don't generally go together. It's a different kind of taste. It doesn't for some. But then you can mix some rasas. You can mix. And that's also in nectar of devotion. So Madhurya Bhav and Aishwarya Bhav, they can mix. It's not Rasabhas. But Vatsalya Bhav and Madhurya Bhav, they cannot mix. That is Rasabhas. And that is what nectar of devotion teaches us. They make us expert in rasa. What you can mix and offer, what you cannot mix and offer. Just like in quick cooking. We can mix vegetables and dal and it's nice. But we cannot mix maybe, milk and salt. You cannot do that. It's funny. And that is the science of rasa, which Prabhupada explains there. So that's the two terms, rasa vachitri and rasa bhas. Mixing Madhurya and Aishwarya, that's very nice. Because Aishwarya actually nourishes Madhurya. And Gopi Leela, we see, Gopi Geet. When Krishna disappears, Gopis are singing about Aishwarya of Krishna. Jayate te dekham janmanatava. Krishna, you are supreme, you came to Raj to bless us. And Krishna is relishing that. So darkness can enhance light. It can do, there's a use of darkness. There's a light, if you do darkness here, that will be more shining. But at the same time, some lights do not go together. But darkness can go with light. So that's the idea, Rasabhas and Rasvachitri. And these prayers help us to understand that. Bhishma prayers, Kunti prayers, they are mixing rasas and helping us to understand how to serve him, how to offer him. That's a good question. That's a very nice question, yeah. Okay. She wants to ask something. There should be some.
You were speaking about the demons, the demoniac, and saying Krishna fulfills their desires and he gets them even more baffled, right?
Yeah.
But not everyone is so demoniac. Some people, they are mistrustful or they've been disappointed and disillusioned. That piety is hidden within.
Yeah.
And still, it seems sometimes like Krishna seems frightening because, the jiva is bent on self-destruction and he's allowing them to go down that way and be self-destructive. So even the pastime where he's shot, with an arrow, it's not helpful. It's not helping people. It's not helping them instill faith and trust in God.
Yeah, you're right. And that's a good question. Prabhupada says that some pastimes Krishna does to confuse not demoniac people but demons. There's a difference between demoniac and demons. We also have demoniac mentality, but we are not demons. So demons get confused by that. Shishupal, Duryodhan, they were absolute demons. And when they heard all these things, they are super confused. Because if they don't get confused, you can't kill them. They have to get confused, they'll do offenses and then they'll be sinful and then Krishna can kill them. Okay, now his sins are like full and I'll kill them. And that is why Krishna says there's a time. Time has to come for these demons to kill, no? So when cow and Brahma went to Krishna, they tell Kamsa is making so much problem. Krishna said, I know, but there's a time. Let his sins grow. So how their sins will grow and he'll die? And Krishna arranges for that. And he does these pastimes, they'll be fully confused, they'll do offenses, and then Krishna will kill them. And that's his mercy. He's killing them, so by killing them, he'll liberate them from all sins. So he does this plan. As far as ordinary people, who are not demons but who have demoniac mentality, that's what you're talking? They are demoniac, but they are nice also. But they are influenced by the social atmosphere and demoniac thoughts. They are influenced by demons. For them, Krishna's pastime might be bewildering. Yes, they are bewildering. But then, to save them, Krishna sends his empowered souls. Ramanuja, Madhva, Prabhupada, to give them a proper knowledge and save them. For them, whole preaching is designed. And that is where Madhva went. Madhva went to Narnarayan. Madhvacharya, he went to Narnarayan in Bajrika Ashram. He said to Narnarayan, Narayan, you see, it's very simple. Nobody is going to understand about you, so my plan is to kill everybody. That's what he said. Because Madhva is Vayu, no? He's Vayu Hanuman. He said, I can kill everybody, just finish this off. Narayan said, no. There are some few good souls there who are confused by demons, who are having demoniac mentality. You preach to them and save them. And that's what we are preaching for. And Krishna sends his, and they will be saved by Krishna's plan and his empowered devotees. In fact, I was seeing, because I'm in science, so I'm writing a book on reincarnation. I was supposed to present this seminar in colleges. And are you aware of this NDE's near-death experience? Near-death experience, you are aware of this? Near-death experience.
Yeah.
So people die and they go up and then they... So one case was there which I was reading, and that person, he was a Christian, and he died and he went up. And he went to heaven, whatever. And there he saw Christ. And okay, fine, many people see Christ like that. But then that person asked that interviewer, so what he was doing? And what he was doing? I was surprised by his answer. He said Christ was strategizing. He was making strategies. How to help those people who have demoniac mentality, who are confused. He was sitting up there and making strategies. And probably that's Krishna, Krishna is like that. He's doing pastimes, but he's making strategies. And then when he went there, so he met Christ and he was making strategies how to preach. And then Christ told him, see, you should go back. So he said, why? Because Christ said, because I need you there, not here, to fulfill my strategies. And that's how Krishna will save them. People who are really ignorant, who are confused, nobody can escape his plans. Mahaprabhu said, I'll throw a net. Nobody will be able to escape. It is a matter of time. That's all. But demons, they'll go to hell. They'll go to hell like that. That makes sense, no? So the responsibility comes to us, because we are his deputed people who are fulfilling his strategy. He needs us here. And that's our responsibility, to save confused people who are confused by demoniac thoughts, who are good in essence, or they are confused. That is what preaching is all about. We have to do this. That was nice. I was really impressed by his answer. Well, he went up and saw that. Probably Krishna is doing the same thing. That's why he sent Prabhupada, okay, I need you there. And Prabhupada came here. Okay, Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.